Hello everyone, it's Thumper the Rabid Rabbit. This is a user request for Kamikaze Jutsu from Discord. Kamikaze was asking how to make a 1x1 with a turret and a garage door that only fire up based off an HBHF trigger. The HBHF trigger he wants powered by a solar panel and battery that activate a generator to power the garage door and turret. And so that is what I have done here. This is the working circuit, Kamikaze. The good news is this works. The bad news is it doesn't work with a small battery, but it can be done with a large battery, and I'll actually show you how you can cram all that in here. So first of all, I'm just out of range of the HBHF here, but as soon as I step into range, you're going to see the desired outcome. The generator will start, the door will open, the turret will power on. So there you see the generator fired up, that powers up the turret, opens the door. When I go out of range, generator shuts down, door closes, turret shuts off. The circuit I've got coming in here is just off a solar panel. I'll explain why in a minute. It requires a large battery is the problem. So this whole circuit here takes 10 units of power. Unfortunately, the small battery only puts out 10 units of power, and we need 2 units of that to operate a UPS circuit so that it can be self-charging, which only leaves 8 left over from the small battery, which is unfortunately not enough to run this, but it can be done with a large battery, and you can fit it into the small 1x1 with the triangle TC like you asked, and I'll show you that in a moment. So here's how this works. Power comes in, standard branch, just 2 units of power out, 1 into the HBHF, that leaves 1 left over to hit this AND switch. Took the remaining power into this branch, threw off 5 units of power into the AND switch. The HBHF causes the AND switch to start up, which puts out the power we need to run the rest of the circuit. And then what's happening here is the rest of the power goes into an XOR switch. Now, if you're not familiar with the XOR, it only puts out power when both sides are not both powered, when only one or the other. The XOR there is one or the other. So the way we use that is if the HBHF trigger is on, some of its power comes out of this branch and goes to the force start. So HBHF triggers, that turns on the force start. It also provides power to the other half of the XOR, which turns it off. Now the XOR is connected to the force stop. So what that means is if there's no HBHF trigger, then no power to force start and no power to the other side of the XOR, which means the power coming in this side of the XOR flows to the force stop and turns it off. So that's what causes it to turn on when it sees a person or people, and turn off as soon as it doesn't see any people. The rest of this should be self-explanatory. The power out goes into a branch. The default 2 units goes to the door controller to open the garage door. The rest of it goes into the turret, and there's plenty left over from the generator here. You could actually run a couple turrets if you wanted to. And of course, when you cut power to a door controller, like turning off a generator, the door will shut. So as soon as I leave range, you can keep an eye on the lights on the wall there. As soon as I get out of range, you'll see the light on the XOR turn green because it only has 1 input. That's what triggers the force stop. And you'll see the AND switch on the wall also turned red for its output because it only has 1 power source, not both, which is what's required to send power through there. So in range, power's on. Out of range, shuts down, powers off. Now, because you have to use a large battery with this, it gets a little more complicated. So I built the what you asked for. I got the triangle foundation with the TC in it, and the single 1x1 here with the turret. So as soon as I trigger it by hitting the HBHF, you see I got the turret up front. I got the battery and the generator crammed into the back of the 1x1. And then the TC is back with the electronics in the back half here. So this is all the electronics to run the circuit. This is the electronics for the battery backup UPS charging circuit. I couldn't fit the generator and the battery into the triangle foundation, so they're in the back of this. That does make them a little more exposed. That's not great. Maybe you could make it 2 stories high and put these up above or something instead. Or make it a 2x1 and put these components in the back and the turret up front. That's another possibility. I don't think you'd be able to do this anyway. You put the TC in at an angle. Yeah, maybe you can get the generator in there and a small battery, but unfortunately, like I said, the small battery doesn't provide enough power. So let me show the schematic of this. There's the schematic. So here's what the schematic looks like. Here's our battery backup circuit using the large battery. Typical UPS circuit down here. Got a threshold that I'm putting out 11 units on. The remainder goes to block the battery and charge the battery. So when you're on solar power, you only need 10 units, so you only need to send 11 out of this to power the whole thing. And then of course this large battery is overkill, but the small battery is unfortunately not enough. And then here's the rest of the circuit. Power comes in, branches the HBHF, rest of the power goes over here, branches the 5 units required for the rest of the AND logic to do the force start. Remaining power goes through to the XOR. That's effectively blocked by the branch to do the force stop. I suppose you could use a blocker there. I think that would work, yeah. And then out of the generator you got a branch, a couple of units to power the door, rest of it to power the turret. I turn on the HBHF here, you can see actually 37 units of power left over, so you could run 3 turrets over here if you really wanted to. That should, I hope, answer your question, and good luck out there, and don't suck.